Okay. So are you ready?
Yep,
All right. So the topic is what you don't know about men,
that's
right?
right. That's
All
right.
right. So let's get into it. All right. Um, at the beginning, I want to say that some of this is just basic information. It does not apply to every man, every woman, every scenario. But this is just some basic information that I want to get out as we begin to develop a space, a safe space for people to talk about relationships. It is my hope, it is my hope by doing all of this that there can be more unity among couples, married couples, single people, everybody. And I hope that people can learn something through the community that we develop around talking about relationships. So,
And also, it'll prevent hurtfulness.
yes, that's what I hope to cut down on some of the women being hurt because it seems to me that more women get hurt than men. Not saying that men don't get hurt because men do get hurt. But on this video, I'm focusing more on something for women. So, and while we're talking to women, women stop hurting men. So, um, one of the things that I want to talk about in the very beginning is just a basic thing is I want women to keep in mind, and I think sometimes they downplay this. When you're young and you're single, men want sex. Men will say or do anything to get sex. They will lie to get sex. They will tell you, I love you, I whatever. And then the women believe them and they believe whatever the guy says, and then they're hurt, disappointed, and all of that. So, some of those things I'm going to cover in this brief video tonight. Okay?
All right.
Men want sex, women want love. Men pretend at love to get the sex because the man knows that that's what the woman wants. Women give up sex thinking that they are receiving love, but they're not receiving love, they're receiving sex. In a man's mind, most women aren't able to make this separation, but in a man's mind, men can have sex and make love. Most women can't have sex and make love. They can't make that separation. Especially when you meet someone new and you don't know where it's going. You're really into this guy. He may just be trying to get sex and you're trying to get love.
That's because a man's heart is not in it.
Not early. Women hearts are in it early because women lead with emotion. Women are emotionally open, physically closed. Men are physically open, emotionally closed. In a man, whereas a man concerned, a woman can have access to body parts before she can have access to his heart. Most women don't know that. And most women aren't wired like that. If a woman is into a guy, she's willing to have sex. Most of them are only willing to have sex with a guy that she cares about. For men, they don't have to care about a woman. Unfortunately, I don't want to sound really cold, but for a lot of men, sex is the equivalent of going to the gym, lifting weights, or getting on a treadmill. It doesn't have that meaning that they think. Oftentimes, I've heard women say that he cheated on me, he must really love her. No. It is possible for a man to cheat and he's just having sex and he's not really into the person. And I've said this before to women. You've been there with me when I've done it. And they're shocked to hear that because women don't think that way. They don't know that about men. A couple of things that I said I was going to cover tonight is how to know if he's really into you. And I'm going to tell you how to know he's really into you. But in order for you to receive what I'm saying, as women, you're going to have to turn off this I want love, because you're going to have to be able to keep yourself neutral. Stand back, remain neutral, and watch what he does, and don't listen to what he says. A man will show you everything about him if you just watch what he does. He will prove his loyalties. He will show you everything he's about. If he says, well, baby, you know I love you, you know I love you, you know I love you. And if he's in Las Vegas every weekend, no. Unless he's in Las Vegas working. So the mistake that a lot of women make is they don't know how to tell the difference, because nobody's telling them how to tell the difference. These so-called relationship gurus, they're not really telling women the truth about what's happening with men and how men think and what men are doing and how men behave. But my loyalty lies with telling truth as I see it. These are some things that I have done, maybe, and guys that I know have done them. That's what I'm sharing from personal experience. When a guy is really into a woman, she's not guessing, because his actions line up with what he's saying. There's consistencies. If you start to see inconsistencies, then there may be a problem.
And it's easy, a woman can overlook a lot.
A woman chooses to overlook a lot. Yes, right. A woman chooses to overlook a lot because she wants love. And sometimes this is right here is very dangerous. I've seen this before. Matter of fact, you were with me. Where someone wanted love and to be with this guy so bad that they would totally overlook what you and I were warning them about. They didn't even hear the warning because they want to. So sometimes it's not the guy's fault. If you bring your male friends around your family members and your family members start to tell you things about this guy or things that they potentially see, don't discount that, because they can see what you can't see. Like I said from the gate, you want love, so you're willing to overlook a lot of things because you want love. You can be blinded by that and you won't see everything. The people that are neutral, the people who are neutral, they're on the outside looking in. They don't have a real vested, their heart's not on the line like the woman's heart is on the line. So they can see things from a neutral standpoint. The woman has her heart on the line. She's going to overlook a lot of stuff. Then she ends up getting hurt because she has chosen to overlook some very blatant, outright clues, but they overlooked them. So for the first point, I just want to make that his actions are going to prove his loyalties and if he loves you. If you see him making certain moves, you're going to know. Not what he says, not baby, I love you. Baby, I want to be with you. You mean everything to me. Don't listen to any of that. Because that's how y'all get fooled. Because that lines up with what you already want. Take that off the table. What you already want, take that off the table and remain neutral. Okay, I'm just going to check this guy out. I'm going to watch his actions. You're better off, I've said this, you've heard me say this 1,000 times. I say this to women a lot. You are better off alone temporarily than to be caught up with some guy that's trying to steal, kill, and destroy your future. So I would say just remain neutral and stop trying to be in love so much. just when you meet a guy, just relax and have a good time. Don't give it a label. Don't call it anything. Don't try to fall in love. Don't just be try to remain as neutral as possible so you can see. Because it's your expectations that get you hurt. And that's another thing that I had on there that I was going to talk about, how you can stop being hurt and disappointed so much because you're love blind and you're overlooking things and you're expecting a certain thing. This man never told you he was going to marry you. He never told you, how's that old song go? I never promised you a rose garden. The young people may not know that song. But anyway, he never told you any. A lot of times women assume stuff. Well, he loved me. He gonna do this, and he's gonna. But he never said any of these things. You put this in your head because you're love blind and you're thinking it's gonna go a certain way. He never said that. Now you're disappointed. Now you're hurt. When your family members and your co-workers and your girlfriends have told you how this cat is, right? But you decide, oh no, he's not like that. Y'all don't know him. And I'm not picking at anybody because I've done this myself, and you know what I'm talking about. But what causes the hurt is what causes the hurt and the disappointment is when expectations don't meet reality. Your expectations are here and your reality is here. Now you're hurt and disappointed and broken. Now sometimes we can't control what happens, but we can control what we're expecting. If we have no grand expectations, if we keep our expectations to a minimum, sometimes it's helped me, not in dating, but in life events. I have no expectation, especially I've learned this in business transactions. I don't get really hyped on whether something is going to go through or not, because when it doesn't, I'm not disappointed. But if it does, I am delighted. So if we can control what our expectations are, then we can control the level that we're going to be disappointed. A lot of times women get emotional and they'll blow things out of proportion, especially love-wise. And then they're the ones that's left hurt. And he's confused because he's thinking, I never said that. What made you think we were going to get married? Well, why did you think this was going to do? I told you I was just kicking it. I've heard a lot of people say that. A lot of women say that. Well, he did say he just was kicking. If a man say he just kicking it, he's just kicking it. If you're cool with just kicking it, be cool with just kicking it. But if you want more, don't expect that from him, because he's already told you that we're just kicking it. So the little girl, what a lot of psychologists call the inner child, which works in males and females, but the little girl in the woman wants love. She wants a Cinderella fairy tale. She wants love. She wants the prince to come and rescue her and protect her and sweep her off her feet. You're at the club and you just met this guy. I know this for a fact because somebody told me this before, that they met this guy. The first day they met him, they imagined him swooping her up in a convertible, and you can't allow your inner child to dictate the peaks and the valleys in your love life. The grown woman in you should be making these decisions. So if you're doing some major things in life, your inner child cannot be in control, because they can't deal with it. They can't navigate the seas of life. A 10-year-old girl, or however old your inner child is. You understand what I'm saying?
That's good.
Yeah. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about was that a lot of times on the printout I said that, how do you know if he's for real, if he's running game? Again, we go back to actions. Men are action. Some are verbal, but their actions speak louder than their words. He's showing you. If you just watch him, he'll show you everything that he's about. All you have to do is watch. Here's a tip that I want to give women. When you meet a guy for the first time, listen to what he says. And some of the fellas might be a little upset with me about this, but that's okay. If the man is giving you a lot of physical compliments, he is interested in you physically. If he starts telling you, I like your hair, your lips is banging, your whatever is put out, or whatever the latest terminology is, I'm not coming down on anyone, I'm not judging anyone, I used to do the same thing.
But couldn't a man be interested physically and then switch and fall in love emotionally?
Yes. Yes, that can happen. There can be a physical attraction that leads to something deeper. Yes. But the way to monitor that is also to keep watching what he does and watching his actions. What is his actions? When he starts talking to you about your career or your dreams or your hopes, or where do you see yourself 20 years from now, or when the conversation shifts from more to you got some pretty hair to more substantive things.
And then introducing you.
Yes, that's a big thing too. When he starts allowing you to come into his circle, that's when you've made a transition. Then you've changed. The relationship has changed. If he introduces you to if he keeps you hidden, that's a sign. If he introduces you to his immediate family, sometimes him introducing you to the homeboy, sometimes that can be a front. I'm just being real. But if he starts introducing you to his immediate sisters, mom, dad, grandma, granddad, now we're into something different. Now the behavior is different. Therefore, the beliefs are different. So I wanted to address one of the questions we had on Facebook. Go ahead.
Yes. So here's the question. Says, why do some men complain about women who accept dates to go out for a meal and aren't willing to sleep with them? Then on the flip side, those same men have no problem visiting strip clubs and spending hundreds of dollars on females who won't sleep with them either.
Now, when I hear these questions, I immediately think about, I'm wondering, is she upset with them because they're doing that, or is she upset because that doesn't make sense to her? I'm going to assume that she's trying to make sense of it.
And this is what I see, is that why is he getting upset with me because you're buying me lunch and I'm not sleeping with you, but you go to strip clubs and spend money on them, but they don't sleep with you either. So why are you getting mad at me?
Well, I would say that people are allowed to do whatever they want to do with their money. And if that's what he wants to do with his money, I wouldn't try to question it. What I would do is focus more on someone whose actions line up more with me and my way of thinking. If you're not cool with someone going to strip club, I don't know if that's the issue, if that's the rub or not, but if you're not cool with someone going to strip clubs, is that the problem, or is it doesn't make sense to you that he'll do that with a stripper and won't do that with someone else? I guess maybe I need a little bit more information, but...
And I think she's asking, why would men do that? Why would they get mad about that?
Because that's what he wants to do with his money. that's what he wants to do with his money. He wants to go to a strip club and do that. That's fine. But what I personally don't like to focus on things I don't have any control over. If that's how someone is, there are a ton of other guys who are not like that. I wouldn't try to change or even predict or even make sense of people's behavior or what they want to do with their time and their money. I would try to be with someone whose beliefs and behaviors and activities line up with what I'm trying to do.
So here's another question. Why do men do something for you and then turn around and throw it back in your face?
Why do men do something for you and then turn around and throw it back in your face? Well, to that I would say that's a human problem. Because women do that too. But I think in both cases it goes back to intent. If you have pure intentions from the beginning, then you don't have to bring it back up in their face. But if there's something not pure about it from the very beginning, maybe you were doing it for trying to manipulate someone or a situation, and you didn't get out of it what you thought you were going to get out of it, and then, well, I did this for you. Well, you and I talked about this a lot. You gotta be careful who you let do stuff for you, because people do things for their reasons. That's a good point to remember too. People do things for their reasons. A lot of times we're not conscious of that fact, and we think, well, they're just trying to be nice, or they're just trying to. And you and I have had instances where there have been instances where you think people are trying to be nice, but really they have ulterior motives. And that's just not with you and I. That happens to everybody. So,
right.
And that can initiate from a male or female. So, is that politically correct enough?
That's it. That's it. Well, I think this information for women is very, very helpful, because a lot of times, especially the younger women, may not have any man to really tell them how a man thinks or
Yes.
how a man acts.
Yes.
So I think it's really, really, I wish I would have had it when I was younger. I wish I would have had a brother who would tell me
Well,
this.
that's part of the reason why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
So that people can learn. I mean, I'm not doing it because I want to do it, and I'm not getting paid for it. So, and I'm not trying to get likes and views, and that's not my income source. So, I'm hoping somebody will get something out of it. So, if you get something out of it, share it with other people. Ask questions, talk about it. Disagree with me, whatever.
But thank you for this information, and I know that there's going to be a lot more to come.
Yes, and thank you for